Good morning. I hope you're all well. I hope you had a good week of hard training again, building for whatever's next. As you're watching this will be 4 weeks until British Championships. Well, 4 days until the 100 fly at British Championships. 4 weeks until the 100 fly at British Championships. So, kind of, it feels like it still doesn't really feel like it's built up to this big thing in my head, really, which I think is good. I think probably I had last year with the Olympic trials, I probably had that it was almost like too built up of, oh my God, it's coming, right, it's this big thing. But now it's just kind of like, just keep training. We're training and kind of, I'm treating the racing more as an expression of the training. And I know I'm the strongest I've ever been. I know I'm the fastest I've ever been. Kind of, you just have to look at the short course for that. So kind of there's a lot of things that are pointing towards this being a good meet. But we are having a meet this weekend. We're racing in Manchester, the Manchester International, which I'm not sure how international that'll end up being, but that's never mind. I don't know if there's a start list out yet. There should be, shouldn't there? Maybe I'll have a look. But anyway, so I'll be racing there, and that'll be quite a nice hit out, just to kind of see where we are. I've been training really well. We did some like back end speed stuff last night, and I was probably the best I've been so far this season, which was really encouraging. Kind of feeling that I've still got a bit of fatigue there, but kind of the fatigue is dropping, and my kind of performance is improving. And we've got it's another VO2 set. But it's probably a bit more, you'll have seen like as a USRPT type thing. It's not really, not strictly, but it's blocks of 25s off 30 seconds. So we've got 3 rounds of 10 25s off 30, kind of all short rest. It's almost like about a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. We started every round from a dive, so we're getting that feel and kind of having to deliver that as we go into further rounds under fatigue. And then me and the rest of the sprinters did a normal underwater, then a 10 metre breakout, then a 5 metre breakout. So for me, that looked like 10 kicks, 5 kicks, 1 kick. And we did this exact same set last week, and I really struggled with the 10 and the 1, with the 5 and the 1, because I think I used the underwater really well, kind of to build into the breakout and into the stroke, whereas when I'm trying to get that stroke without the kick, it kind of is a little bit all over the place sometimes. But I think I did a lot better with it today, as we will see. But just before we get into that, I've got quite a cool I suppose announcement's the right word. I've got a partnership now with Applied Nutrition. So they are a supplement company based in the UK. I think they are in America now. They're kind of expanding. But I think if you go back and look, there's a video, I can't remember when it was, probably a few months ago when we were talking about supplements, and I said how Applied Nutrition were a brand that I used because they have the Informed Sport products, they have the it's like sport safe products, and it's like all tested for athletes, so that was why I was a fan. And then so I've got a partnership with them now, which is pretty cool. So if you go on Applied Nutrition and if you use the code JINGRAM, or one word, J Ingram, Jingram, you'll get 20% off, and you'll kind of show that I was worth having this partnership with. So without further ado, let's go into the session. So we're here then, about to start round 1. So the first round, kind of, you're full of energy, aren't you? And all of the footage from this is going to be underwater. I think underwater's footage, we never really see it, and you can see things that you don't really get on land. And kind of a really good example of that is if you watch Jessica swimming in here. So if you watch Jess right here, as she comes in, and her feet are really separate there, and her knees, so her legs are kind of really far apart before they kind of sort of come together, but not really. They kind of stay separated. So that's a kind of thing that we wouldn't necessarily see from on land. But kind of her knowing that means that she's then kind of going to think about that in the drills, in the speed work, kind of build it up so that when she gets to her race, she's racing at the Irish Open in, I think that's the weekend before our trials. Hopefully she'll get that World's qualification for Jamaica. So yeah, the difference then in the in the amount of underwater, it's, does end up making quite a big difference, I think. See there, just 5 kicks in. But I quite liked how my stroke was looking here. You can see kind of the little pause as the hands are entering. It's not like a slow down, but it's like a little pause to give myself time to get into the catch. And kind of, I think I was holding that really well on the full underwater, which is coming up here. And then also the 10 underwater, I think I held the stroke. With the 5 meters underwater, I was a little bit kind of that maybe the last 5 meters was the stroke was kind of falling apart a bit. Particularly, we'll see as we go later rounds. I think this will be a 5 meter underwater here, and maybe the tempo's lower, but it's kind of nitpicky on the times. This first round, I was all 12s with a couple of 13s. The one with the full underwater like this to finish this first round, I was always so much faster. It's almost like that's like the safe spot, and then we challenge it, then back to normal, and it's fine. I can get the speed back up, and then use that on the next reps. We're just going to watch Jessica, and I think she's racing Sarah there, finishing that first round. So we had 2 minutes in between rounds. So 10:25s off 30, 2 minutes, and then same again. And so yeah, the dives maybe are a little bit deep, but I think kind of I'm getting that breakout better now. Sorry, camera just died then, but if we jump back into it, I think we should be good to go. But yeah, so what I was saying with the breakout, I think I'm hitting that breakout definitely more consistently, kind of more consistent and driving forwards. That kind of has been a big focal point, and I think especially when I watch the back ends from videoed on land, and I see there's definitely a lot more surge rather than more like a heave, which is pretty good. Where are we now? I think the stroke here, kind of midway through this second round, is still looking pretty good. It's still looking pretty in control. I think probably there's a little bit of catching and then dropping to push through. I'm not sure how much of that is the natural path of the arm and how much of that is me need to be conscious of pulling all the way through. Probably a bit of both. I think, here looks actually not too bad. But I think maybe that's a thing for when I am fatigued, or when I'm doing the more strokes. Obviously, that last one there where it looked fine was from a 15 underwater. This, we'll see what it looks like there as I'm coming in now. So enter, pull. Yeah, it still I think looks all right. Maybe it can be stronger, but it's it's okay. Finishing off this round then with the big underwater. And I think this kind of set probably would set us up really well for when we end up ultimately racing short course next time in September. Though you're forced, when you're tired, you're still forced to hit that 15 meters underwater, which kind of is something that maybe we might not necessarily neglect, but it might drop. Anyway, this is round 3 then. And this was actually my fastest of the dive reps. I think because I hit the finish kind of the best, 10.6 on that. And you see there, that breakout was a little bit kind of stop-starty, but I think that's the kind of the fault of it being 10 meters. I think when we see the next one coming up with the 15, I'm sure we will see that I actually kick straight through it. So some of it is just kind of not being able to do 5 fly kicks and time the breakout, just kind of not being used to it. But we get so much more fly swimming in doing it like this, so I think this is really beneficial. I think I've done a full underwater, I'm about 6 strokes. With a 10 meter underwater, I'm going 8, and then with a 5 underwater, I'm going 10, maybe 11 as we get through it. So it's almost twice as much fly that I'm actually getting with the 5 meter stroke. And I think, so this is like the third type of VO2 that session that you'll have seen kind of since January. This kind of session, people call it different things. People might call it race pace or the USRPT, because essentially it gets your VO2 max system better. So kind of because you're working for 5 minutes and your heart rate is really high for the whole time, then it improves VO2. And I think that's why what people, when I think to like a Michael Andrew, when people get confused really with, he does loads of race pace, how is he so fast, he only does race pace? Well, yeah, it is at race pace, but he's doing a lot of VO2 work and he's doing a lot of speed. What do we need for swimming? We need speed and a decent VO2 max. So that's kind of where this session fits in, is that it's VO2, but it's probably is more race specific. So putting it in now as we get closer to the racing just makes sense. And that was it, the end of the third round. So then we had an extra minute, so we had our 2 minutes plus an extra minute, and then went into similar, so 8:25's kick, off 35. So again, it ends up being about a 1-to-1 work to rest, all max. So I did this first round fly kick with a board, and I know I've had the comment before of fly kick with a board's bad for your back. To be honest, I don't see it, and I think it is the best fly kick kind of leg burner, kind of the most race applicable that you can get. And it gets really hard. I think I've sped it up, but when I was looking through, the tempo kind of doesn't really necessarily drop. We can see here that the tempo's still pretty good, but the power on each kick definitely is less. And I think that's kind of what we would expect. And this is what we're training. We're training for speed and fitness with the legs. As we finish the first round there. So again, 2 minutes rest before we go into the last round. Now, the last round, I was planning to go all underwater. See, this first rep, the tempo's pretty good. The line's really good. Kind of the rhythm and the flow is nice. It's probably 11-ish. I didn't get a time on that one, but I touched and saw a solid 12. So my guess would be 11 high something. I think as well, if we think back to earlier when I was talking about Coda Banks, Jessica's legs, look on this kick as well. They're very separated. And she's always been a relatively weak kicker. So it makes sense then. That's kind of is a reason why her kick might historically have been weak, because the legs are really far apart. Going to the second rep then with the underwater. Again, the tempo's pretty nice. Coming in on 12.5, that one was timed. So probably slightly slower. But I think off 35, going all out max, meant underwater was really hard. I think if it had been if I just hit 13s every rep, 13, 14, kind of smooth, fast, all 8 would have been kind of a breeze. But you can see the difference in the tempo there, coming in 13.1, that one. So again, it's a big drop. Now I was really kind of gasping, struggling. So I hit about a 15 underwater on this one, but just had to come up to the surface. And I thought, right, well, we'll just try and give the legs a bit of a beasting. So I went to switch to fly kick on my back for the next 3 reps. So I'm just speeding through because they're not very exciting. And then the last rep, back to underwater and see what we can get. And you see the tempo so much better than that third rep, isn't it? Third and the fourth that I've failed on. So I think that's probably the right way to go. And I'm still forcing underwater under fatigue. So kind of good job there. But yeah, that'll do for me for today. So like I say, racing this weekend. Be interesting to see where we're at and what adjustments we need to make before trials. If you're interested in any race analysis, it's getting that time of year. Regionals are coming up. You've got other meets kind of there. You've got your national qualifiers, trials, of course. So if you want your races analysed, you want some feedback, and you want to be able to compare what happens in season to when you're fresh, then go to my website, jingramswimming.com. You can also get any mentoring there if you want kind of my help with the lifestyle around swimming. Applied Nutrition, it's Jingram for 20% off. And then Izzy's t-shirts, the Please Don't Drown Club, are on Amazon. You can just search Please Don't Drown Club on there. But yeah, that's it from me. See you later.